Minister Perry, Claire Dunn from the Department of Enterprise, invited guests, and fellow members of the SFA, welcome to this National Day for Small Business, where we discuss our ideas on how to drive domestic demand and restore consumer confidence in Ireland. This is a key goal for every business person in this room today, but it must be also a policy priority for government, given that the vast majority of businesses and jobs are in the domestic-facing sectors. Improving consumer confidence here at home will be critical to returning the overall economy to growth. We know that this will not be easy. Last week, we undertook a survey of SFA members, to which 792 business owners responded, which showed their perception of consumer confidence in the economy generally was very negative, with 60% rating it as poor and a further 15% rating it as very poor. However, there were more positive about consumer confidence in their own sectors, with 58% of service businesses rating consumer confidence being average to very good, the equivalent figures for manufacturing being 46% and distribution being 40%. Increasing employment levels is viewed as having great potential to improve consumer confidence, and that is why it is critical that the government action plan for jobs and pathways to work initiatives are delivered. However, they must also go further to ensure that every single policy emanating from government is job-proofed, that is, analysed, conducted, and most likely impact on jobs. For example, the slashing of the employer's rebate on redundancy from 60 to 15% in last year's budget has had a devastating impact on businesses trying to restructure and to save jobs, and has forced many more companies into liquidation. If we take the case of an employee with 20 years service who is eligible for the maximum of €600 per week, and taking his overall redundancy payment to €24,600. Under the new rules, the company will now need to find an additional €11,070 to fund this redundancy, which is a massive implication on any business. This decision has been detrimental to people trying to buy businesses, save jobs, as the liability is just far too much. This decision must be reversed in Budget 2013. The Department of Social Protection current proposal to introduce mandatory sick pay, as supported by the IMF last weekend, and indeed to introduce mandatory pension to employees, will dramatically increase the cost of employment to small business and see many more small businesses stop hiring or indeed close as a direct result. A full cost analysis of small business should be undertaken immediately by government on both proposals, which should see both of these initiatives being scrapped. Increasing credit availability from banks to the SMEs is vital and critical, as viewed by 91% of the respondents, on improving consumer confidence. We welcome the fact that after 4 years of lobbying, that the SFA, with the government-backed loan guarantee scheme, will become operational by the end of July, and the microfinance funds will become available in September. Both will address key market failures in the SME funding phase. However, we also need to see sustained progress by the two pillar banks to meet their €3.5 billion lending targets this year, and a defined government policy for introduction more competition into the SME marketplace to solve the dual problems of availability and increasingly the cost of finance. 91% of our members also believe that realistic measures to tackle the personal debt crisis will also lead to substantial improvement in consumer confidence. While many are in very genuine difficulties as a result of job losses and negative equity, we are also concerned that the net savings ratio has jumped sharply to 10%. Many consumers have accelerated their debt repayments over and above what is required and are building a rainy day fund as they hear the negative stories in the media. The normal saving ratios in Ireland should be about 5%. The achievement of this but results in a release of a vital $1 billion into the domestic economy. Other measures that members feel have a positive impact on restoring consumer confidence include supporting local business means supporting local jobs, and positive commentary from business leaders actually being reported in the media. Minister, we firmly believe that the government now must turn its attention to introducing growth, promoting measures in the economy. Whilst reform of the public sector and government spending stimulus investment are important elements of this, our members believe that tax changes to support investment and jobs will be most important in contributing to the growth being going forward. Specifically, we're proposing to Minister for Finance Michael Noonan TD that in Budget 2013 he introduces a rollover type relief which will provide an incentive for entrepreneurs selling their businesses to invest the proceeds in some enterprise entity. We also propose that those individuals with AVC pensions and personal pensions, all held by the self-employed individuals, be allowed early release of their funds to invest in their business and spending in the broader economy. The early drawdown of funds should only be permitted for a window of maybe 3 years and be subject to tax at the standard rate. This proposal will deliver a significant stimulus to the domestic economy and provide a much-needed windfall for the Exchequer. We estimate that the total value will be about $3 million, with an immediate tax windfall to the Exchequer of $600 million. The OECD has specifically endorsed these criteria in the crisis, responding measures both in Denmark and Iceland, as it concluded the early drawdown of such funds did not undermine future pension adequacy. Minister, today we ask you to be our champion with your government colleagues and on the need to support small business in restoring consumer confidence and thus returning the economy to growth.